Well, in some cases, for example, Jack DeJohnette and Dave Holland, I know since 1966, 67. Jack from New York and Dave from meeting him in London in 1967 before he came here. And then when he came with Miles Davis, he ended up living in the same building that I lived in, with Chick Corea on the ground floor, by the way, West 19th Street in Manhattan, in a loft where you could play all the time. You know? And long-term relationships, I have, of course, some of my longest are with drummer Bob Moses, pianist Richie Byrack, with whom I've recorded so much with and still work with. Lovano's a little newer, but is part of Saxophone Summit, which we began with Michael Brecker in the mid-90s, and now has had Ravi Coltrane for a few years, and now the new addition will be Greg Osby. So, you know, in our field, when you start looking at how long you know somebody, it's pretty astounding, actually. And that's by passing in, sometimes two ships passing in the night, sometimes on the same gig. Like I'll see Joe probably in a few minutes, just say hello. Sometimes on the same tour, in the same festival, whatever. And there's a certain feeling of roots and of familiarity, which we really like in jazz. Because you get up and say, oh man, I know what that is. That's like, I know how that shirt feels. That's my shirt. Oh yeah, he's got that now. You know, so these are long-term relationships. And just to mention two projects. One is in 2007, to celebrate Coltrane's 40th anniversary of his passing, the BBC invited me to put together a group to record for BBC Radio. And we did it with Lovano, Phil Markowitz, who is still with Saxophone Summit, Billy Hart again, and Ron McClure. Cecil couldn't make it. And we recorded a Coltrane program, did it, no problem. But now it's going to be released 10 years later on Resonance label. And it's nice because it's a panorama of Coltrane from some of the oldest stuff to his late Coltrane. It's just with me and Joe in front. And then another recent project, we haven't found a home for it yet, but it was financed by a producer in Europe, was with Dave Holland, Jack DeJohnette, and Kenny Werner. And that was a feeling about, it's a long story, but it's about me doing the elements. I've done water, air, and this was a fire, about the manifestations of fire on the planet. That's not important. But really to evoke the atmosphere we used to play like in the early 70s, which was in these lofts, playing what's now considered free jazz. With Jack and Dave and Randy Brecker, Michael Brecker, Lenny White. I mean, the whole, you know, my loft was a meeting place. I had instruments, you could come anytime. And so we just recorded that record called Fire, and of course I'm not sure what label it'll be on or how it'll get disseminated, but that was a nice project to be back with them, because my first record as a leader was in 1973 when I was with Miles in Japan, and Jack and Dave and Richie were the rhythm section because they were there with Stan Getz. So it's kind of a celebration of my first recording. Yeah. This is saxophonist Dave Liebman, and if you're interested in more videos, please go to Jazz Times to see them and hear them. Thank you.